Right, Leeds United have lost to Millwall. Thought I'd get my old man on to have a little bit of I needed to talk to someone about it because I was going in this sort of like this Gatwick airport room about to headbutt a wall. Dad, Leeds have lost to Millwall 1-0 in a very, very Leeds versus Millwall game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just really, really disappointed, Connor. It's like you said, it's like same thing over and over and over again. When we spoke last about this, when he asked for my prediction over the weekend, and I said 2-1 to Leeds, I couldn't overstate how important it was that we won this game tonight, and I really felt confident on the back of recent displays that we would win the game tonight. That energy that we've been showing, it would be different on this occasion. And I know we got a good win there last year, but that was a one in a blue moon event, and it's just come back to prove itself yet again when we go away down there and we lose by this kind of margin. It's so frustrating because they didn't seem at it today. I didn't seem at it at all. And again, we're just undone by a set piece, and we just seem to ignore set pieces as a way forward and trying to score goals.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, 12 corners, and I've just mentioned it. 12 corners. There's no point. There's no point. There's just might as well. And it's funny actually. I mentioned this on the stream. I said you might as well have just, if you're a Millwall player, just boot out for a corner. And basically what we'll end up doing is, even if we regain possession, we'll pass the ball back to Ilan Mele. So there's no point. There's no point in giving us a corner. And I can't, for the life of me, understand why we don't. I mean, apparently we work with an American model. We work on it in training. What do we do in training? I don't understand. It's bizarre to me. And I was mentioning it on the stream. I was mentioning it on the stream, Dad. You get all the top teams relative in Europe, or, on whatever level, and they get these marginal gains because it's unrealistic to score goals consistently from open play. Yeah. But this is a consistent theme. It was the exact same with us last season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can't afford a set piece coach, Connor. I don't know, but do we work on this sort of thing in training? I really don't know. I mean, we know what a joke it is in terms of taking corners. We've managed to score a goal a few games back from a corner, which was the first in God knows how long. But I just don't know what it is. I mean, Rothwell seemed a little bit off it tonight. I've been praising him over recent games for his deliveries, and that just wasn't on. What is it about that place? I mean, they get about 15 or 16,000 people in there. They make a bit of a din, and for some reason, we just don't seem to be able to turn up and get a result. I just find it so frustrating, and it's nonsense when, from what I hear, Farke has been coming out with comments directly after the game saying that he's not entirely unhappy with the way it developed and the way it finished. I mean, I really just don't understand it, Connor. I mean, there's one team that we need to be up for away from home. It's this team. And he must know that from the history. He's got to know that. He's got to prepare the team better than he has done. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
You've got their players, you've got their fans. We've had Dan on from Lions TV all saying it's their biggest game of the season. They wish it was on a Saturday. They gutted it was on a Wednesday because they couldn't get the atmosphere for it. But they're still, I think, they sell out, or they got a load of tickets tonight, sold, whatever. We played into their hands, set pieces. They were playing the referee. It was as we always get in the Championship, was an abomination. But they we played into their game. The tempo, Dad, was slow. Everything, it wasn't accurate and sharp. It was
pedestrian, wasn't it?
It was pedestrian. That's the perfect word for it. And it just fell exactly into what Millwall wanted. And I do not understand our team. I mean, they spent 3 million quid, was getting told this by Dan, 3 million quid on a centre forward. And it was like their record signing, and we've got a 60 grand a week winger on the bench. And that's the standard. That's why the expectation is so high. It's not from arrogance. It's what we've spent on this squad.
No. And that's where they're laughing, aren't they? The Millwall fans will be walking away from this game absolutely laughing their heads off because they've done one over Leeds again. And it's the same old stuff, isn't it? It's the same old stuff. It's a British style of football. It's slump it forwards. It's sit back. They're doing nothing at all. It's hard to believe that they're actually in fifth spot now. They've won 4 games on the bounce. But they're not doing anything creative, but they don't need to do because they're playing against a bunch of softies. They're playing against the team.
Well, Perot again, Dad. I've got to mention him. Just completely absent from the game. Some people are saying to me, they're like, "Well, what can he do?" And I'm like, you can drop deep, you can spin off the fullbacks off for just an option between the fullback and the centre back. You can hit the channels. You can do so much as a centre forward to at least put the centre backs off. He literally, I said this in the last game, he just sticks between the centre backs. He'll stick between the centre backs and offer no sort of dynamism. There's no dynamism from it. And this game for me, you've got especially in Jake Cooper, the 6'7" lad, you've got Joseph, who's going to be at least running into the channel. So you're going to be dragging Cooper out of position and then maybe creating a little bit of space for Aronson and Nonto in the pockets or Rothwell.
But Connor, it shouldn't have been an issue tonight. We're way better footballers than they are. I mean, those two big lads at the back, I mean, are the footballers really? I mean, they don't look that comfortable on the ball. It's so obvious what they're going to do for the goal. There's going to be a big lump into the penalty area. Cooper's going to knock it down. To be fair, it were a decent finish. But I mean, in terms of footballers, they're not really there, are they? They're not footballers. We've got footballers on our team that should be able to undo that kind of talent that they've got on the pitch, if that's what you want to call it. It's so frustrating. It's Peru. I don't know. It could have ended up very differently for him tonight, couldn't it? If he'd have got the goal. And again, that's another goal in the column there for him. I don't know. To me, we've spoken about this before. I don't think he's a 60, 70 minute player for us in the system that we've got. He's a player that we should be chucking on for the last 15, 20 minutes and getting the most out of him. I don't think he's that kind of player that's really going to produce for us over 70 minutes. We should be looking at Joseph. And I think he'd have been a way better bet tonight in terms of a battle. He'd have mixed it more with those two lads at the back. I don't know what it is with Farke. I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of these fans that's calling out for a change. I think he's a man that's hopefully going to get us up. But like you said earlier, I was listening to some of your comments in the brief afterwards, Connor. We can't be looking at third, fourth, fifth, or sixth this season. The best hopes of getting up. We've got to be looking at first or second. And unfortunately, these games are the games that we need to be putting to bed. Teams like this, Bristol, Millwall, teams that really we should be going to their place and doing them over. And you mentioned Sheffield United. They've now picked up six away from home. And our away form really at the moment is just not where it needs to be.
No, it's not, Dad. You've got top two, Sunderland and Sheffield United. Sunderland and Sheffield United top two away from home. You've then got Leeds in sixth position there. So yeah, it's one of those where and a draw, then a loss. It's not good enough. That standard needs to increase. You get your home form. I understand that, but we don't want to leave this to any chance, do we? We've got to start picking up points and away from home. I think our home form will be fine throughout the majority of the season, but that away form, it was a bit of a stinker tonight. To be honest,
how many games have we won this season, Connor? I think is it 5 out of 14?
One. I think we've won 7. I think.
Is it 7? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So we won half of our games. Okay.
Yeah. So
half of our games. So we need to be picking up more wins, don't we? I mean, Sunderland have hit a bit of a patch, haven't they, where they were getting the wins in and drawing relatively few, but they're catching up now. So they've had a couple of draws. I mean, the blessing, the positivity out of all of this is still how condensed the league looks. You might think, well, Sunderland are 4 points ahead of us. I think Sheffield United, what is it now, 3 or 2 points ahead of us. So it's still tight at the top. There's no reason why if Borough can't go down to QPR and beat them 4-1 like they did last night, we should be looking at giving them a bit of a shanking come Saturday. So, we're still only a few days away from another game. It's very, very frustrating. It's an annoying night. We've seen it too many times before, and it shouldn't have been this way. And there's nowhere a manager should be expressing any kind of optimism about a performance like that.
I think what annoys me about him is like how annoyed. I've said this on loads of streams before. He's really pissed off on the sidelines. He's really pissed off, and he's giving it to the linesman. He's gesturing to the players. He's frustrated. He's talking to his staff, and then he comes out afterwards, and he's almost like a completely different man when he's talking on it. And I get it's PR. I understand that, but it's bizarre.
It has to be, doesn't it?
Flip. Yeah.
I suppose in the heat and passion of the moment, you'd expect him to get pissed off and upset, and that's what as fans we want to see. And I suppose sometimes as fans we want to see a bit more honesty when he's talking to the press afterwards. But he's never going to call his players out publicly, Connor. He's always got to be seen to be backing them and seeing positives. So he's doing a politician's job there, isn't he? You can't really come out and criticise them. That's not the way of the world nowadays. It used to be 20 or 30 years ago when managers quite freely come out and criticise the players in front of the press, but it doesn't happen that way nowadays. You got to put a blanket around them, haven't you?
Well, that's the international break now, Dad, isn't it? So it's or is it one more? I think that's it.
I think we've got one more, haven't we? We've got QPR.
Oh, we have QPR. Yeah, it's
QPR, which you're going to be covering in the States.
Yeah, a little glimmer of hope, but they know how to ruin your day, don't they, Dad? But it is what it is.
It's been a bad night. It's been a night that we've seen way too often. This should have been a win tonight. That's what we were calling for over the weekend. It should have been a win following on from that game against Plymouth. It's I wouldn't say it's a disaster. It's just extremely, extremely disappointing. As fans, we deserve better than this. You know, for a night down in South London on a Wednesday night, in the back of our heads, we all kind of expected this result. But really, you know, our heads told us it should have been different.
True. Right, Dad. Well, thanks for joining, and we'll catch you on the next time. And guys, make
More
sure you like,
comment, good trip out there, Connor. And we'll catch up soon. All right.
Yeah, no problem. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribing, guys, and we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.
Yeah.